What is going on, everybody? It is episode 711 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. We have been dealing with minor tech issues to start, but things to be back on track now. And I'm here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We are indeed starting the week off strong on this crisp autumnal Monday. And it's not just us who's facing tech issues today. I heard just now that Tim is also having some tech issues. The studio broke, whatever that means.
I don't even know what that means. I'm picturing just
it could mean a tornado ripped through it, or it could mean the cameras aren't working. Who knows? But he might actually be making the trek over back here to his humble beginnings tonight for IRL. So that's going to be interesting.
I'm picturing he just showed up one day and there was just a cavernous gate, like hole between like the chairs, like at the middle of the table.
Maybe the tectonic plates separated underneath the studio. Now the building is just torn.
Yeah, that's
what I'm assuming happened.
What I imagined happened there. But luckily our tech issues have seemed to have been figured out.
I think we're okay. We were having some issues looking at the party meter. It wasn't updating, but now it seems to be fine.
Seems to be fine now.
So we'll still be reading all of your super chats. Don't worry.
Crisis parties should be going off. The volume is up. Everything's going to be good,
We're
guys.
locked in.
We are definitely locked in, guys. Before we get started, though, now that we are through explaining the tech issues, I want to remind you guys to please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here yet already. If you're new, in fact, because we've got new subscribers here every day. So go ahead and also share these videos out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people you like, people you don't like, everyone in between. The more people you share these episodes, these live streams, and these segments with, the faster channels like this can grow. It is the best way to help us out. So what are we getting into today? Well, we got a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a fun one, I think, because Simu Liu, if you don't remember who that is, he's Shang-Chi in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's about it. He was in Barbie.
He was in Crazy Rich Asians. Yes, isn't that his biggest role?
That's his claim to fame. So you know that there's Crazy Rich Asian games at the casino?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
That's if you're Asian, you only play that specific slot machine.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about him because he was guest starring on this Shark Tank ripoff in Canada.
It's called The Dragon's Den.
It's a Shark Tank ripoff. Okay. Shark Tank, Dragon's Den, come on now.
Well, someone pitched Boba tea and it was a white person, so he pitched a full-on fit.
He pitched a fit on the show where you pitch things.
Yes.
They pitched a product, he pitched a fit.
Right, exactly.
So we're gonna talk about that. We're also gonna talk about this article about the new Hollywood A-list, which I actually talked about on Saturday over on the Salty Nerd. And if you don't know any of the names on here, that would put you in pretty good company, because I would argue that most people probably don't know, at least the people watching this show, probably don't know a good chunk of the names on this list of influencers and podcast hosts and various other people that aren't really actors, but are now what they're trying to pitch through the Hollywood trades as the next generation of Hollywood A-list stars, which is funny because before the show we were talking about Harrison Ford talking about the death of the movie star.
Yeah. But we know a lot of these names and we've talked about a lot of these people because we are simply built different here.
Exactly. So we're going to be talking about that. Also, we've talked a lot about Sabrina Carpenter on this channel, probably more than most in this space. And it turns out that this year, dressing a little slutty is the #1 Halloween costume. Now, that's not anything new. It's just, it's got a brand on it this year, meaning that you can wear Sabrina Carpenter lingerie, and that is the #1 celebrity Halloween costume this year, among many others.
It's kind of crazy. Taylor Swift was just so summarily replaced.
Well, you have to have bad dance moves to do that costume.
It's funny how quick it happened, I guess. I mean, wasn't Taylor Swift one of the top Halloween costumes last year?
Oh, I don't know. Is that
She
true?
must have been.
Yeah. So
wearing almost the same exact thing.
We're getting into that. We're also going to get into Kanye and some Me Too allegations that are now tied to Diddy with a story that's actually connected to allegations that came out several months ago that we covered on this channel.
But we had a situation that happens actually not infrequently now where we come across a topic and I'm like, I could have sworn we've talked about something related to this before. So I have to go back into the PCC archives with my librarian glasses.
Do we have our
pouring
own version
through
of
the records?
the Dewey Decimal System?
Yeah. And I had to watch our video about this to remind myself of all the details because we just cover so much. So, it's still funny to me.
All right. If you're ready, then we can just get right into it. You ready?
Let's go.
All right. Well, first things first, ladies and gentlemen, I was out of town last week, so I didn't get to be on the show and cover the very, very quick downfall of the Joker sequel. But more news has come out because the film has been out for a week now, and the movie had a historic 81% drop from week 1 to week 2, pulling in just $7.5 million domestically. If ever there was a place for a womp womp womp, it would be on this story right now.
Well, I'm looking at another discussing film report. Joker 2 earned $2.2 million on October 11th, a 90% drop from its domestic opening day. The film might have the highest box office drop for a comic book movie ever.
Okay, so I saw people arguing about whether you even want to call this a comic book movie. I mean, they've done pretty good to say this is not connected to DC. He's not even the real Joker.
Todd Phillips can tell himself as many times as he wants that he's not affiliated with DC and he's not making a comic book movie, and he can act like he's so above it all, but that's the truth of what he was doing, and that's the reason why anyone went to see the first Joker at all, is because it's attached to that character.
Let me put it into a little bit of perspective for everyone. The Marvels had a 78% drop from week 1 to week 2. So it opened week 1 to week 2 worse than the Marvels. It also it made less at the box office in week 1 and week 2 than Morbius. So Morbin Time did better than this film. Morbius opened to 39 million, whereas Joker only opened to 37. And week 2, it made 10 million, whereas this one only made 7 million.
Okay, it's wild because, granted, I never watched Morbius. I did watch the Marvels, though. Unfortunate. I'm sorry to say it's 2 hours of my life I'll never get back. Yep. But Joker 2 was not as bad as the Marvels. No. It wasn't. Objectively, it just wasn't as bad of a movie as the Marvels.
And the Marvels was worse, in my opinion, than Madam Web, which I actually had fun at because it was so bad it was good.
The problem with Joker 2 is not that it's cinematically like inferior to the Marvels and therefore it's making less money. The problem is that I genuinely think Joker 2 is more mean-spirited toward its own audience.
Yeah. I saw other people talking about this weekend, and I'm glad that I wasn't the only one that missed it. I saw multiple people saying that they did not catch the prison rape, that it wasn't abundantly clear to them.
It was not clear to me at first either.
Which is funny because when I see that, I say, well, what that is right there is that's a fault of the storyteller, right? It's the storyteller's job. If it's explicitly supposed to mean that, then it's his job through the visual aspect of the storytelling to show that in some way. But if he leaves it ambiguous like that, he runs the risk of people jumping to that conclusion and people like me just being like, I don't know, is that what that was supposed to be? I don't know.
I can see how it would feel like a lose-lose situation because you don't show it and people say that you failed as a storyteller at showing what happened. Or you do show it, and first of all, no one wants to see that. But second of all, people are going to, again, say that you failed as a storyteller because you're treating your audience like they're idiots and not trusting that they can pick up on the subtext.
Yeah.
So I watched it and assumed that, maybe my mind was in the gutter for assuming that was a gay gang rape scene. But when I looked further into it, it was confirmed. So then I knew how it was supposed to fit into the whole tapestry of the death of Joker as a persona.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. To me, the idea that you can simply strip someone and then beat the crap out of them, that's perfectly humiliating. So I don't feel like it's wrong for their brain to not necessarily go all the way to that conclusion. And maybe his point as a storyteller was that you know, he left it open to interpretation, but people were looking for a reason to not like this movie already.
Well, the reason why I found it believable is because there were intentional gay undertones to
earlier in the
Joaquin
movie.
Phoenix's Joker, not only in the second but the first as well, that he's just kind of effeminate, you know, like that's he has like creative flourishes and he's a little bit light in the loafers and he has limp wrists and he likes dancing about and things like that, right?
There's a 20 there.
Collis L. Bryant said the what is this?
Make America Hot Again, I think.
Hot Again?
Or Healthy Again. It's both of those.
Okay, lyrics of "They're eating the dogs" are "Stop eating the carbs,
I will
start
not.
eating the fats." And then for a full remix, you could replace Hassan's yell with the goat scream meme.
Okay.
We're not going to be making America healthy again.
I'm not a musical... I'm not
Tell Carter though.
Yeah, tell
maybe
Carter
he can work on that.
Here's what I found to be now. Okay, we'll go back to this. So we're just getting back into the movie again. I want to get into a little bit more. So I think there was a missed opportunity here. So this weekend, Joker was absolutely decimated by Terrifier 3, which was an independent film that was made for $2 million, pulled in $18 million at the box office. But when you only spend $2 million on your movie, $18 million is a great return on investment. Now, this was a movie that had no MPAA rating because they did not go through the traditional production means. Because if they do, they run the risk of being censored and being told that they have to cut things out. So they went through Cinemark independently and were able to get this film in theaters, which had like notices on certain screenings that said like you might throw up watching this movie. But here's my problem. Both of these movies were clowns. There was a Barbenheimer opportunity here that could have absolutely worked to both of their advantages if they had found a way to market it or build memes out of it together.
Yeah, Warner Brothers should be on watch for another opportunity like that.
Yeah, they could have.
Todd Phillips would never. He's so pretentious.
So we got into a discussion on Saturday about the fact that he cut out Warner Brothers entirely. He wasn't even letting them on set.
But weirdly enough, it seemed like James Gunn, after taking over DC simultaneously with the production of Joker 2, was not even remotely interested in being involved in this, because he must have just assumed like, oh yeah, slam dunk, like easy win for us. I don't need to be heavily involved in that, especially because it's not in the main universe, right? The main, like the DCU. I
don't even see a reason for him to get involved because it's still something that was born out of time before he was in charge. So just let it go and let
grandfather
it
in.
Grandfather it in and then let it go. I don't know,
but like, I don't know. Maybe disaster could have been mitigated here if he had just. It wasn't that he was necessarily like shut out. It was just that he didn't seem interested, according to reports.
And also, but they're saying that David Zaslav wasn't even allowed on set. Like, imagine the power trip to be able to be like,
that's wild.
You, the head of the studio, are not allowed on set for this film. It's looking to lose. Conservatively, they're saying $150 million. Some people are saying they're saying the marketing on this was less so. I don't know where the information is on that, but they're saying that the break even for this film looks to be about 450 to 500 million. I would have expected it to be more because I would have expected there to be heavier marketing for a movie of this price tag. So if the idea here is that it has to make 450 to 500 million dollars, well, it's made about 165 so far, and it took an 81% drop from week 1 to week 2. In most films, those weekly drops tend to steady and level out. But even if you're dropping at 60% week to week, you're just a couple $1 million in a couple weeks or so. And this isn't going to be the same type of thing. This isn't going to be the same type of thing as Deadpool and Wolverine, which made like $15 million in its first weekend.
That's finally out of theaters, right?
But
that finally left theaters.
It went and did pay VOD, right? And it made about $15 million in its first week on pay VOD. There isn't going to be
how long ago? It is out of theaters, right?
I don't know if it's entirely out of theaters, but it at least is simultaneously maybe at just a couple of theaters, but also pay VOD. This isn't going to be pulling in $15 million on pay VOD. I don't think. Like, I don't see people wanting to say like, oh, I don't want to watch it depress me at the theaters. I'll just let it depress me at home. I think people's minds are made up about this. It is not 2019 anymore. So what you need to remember is Captain Marvel, Aquaman and Joker all came out around that time, and all of them made $1 billion. Okay. None of those movies made even a quarter of what their predecessors made at the theaters. Okay, took too long to make all the sequels. The interest isn't there. They missed out on some opportunities to cross-promote it with memes and use your social media teams to engage with other products that are out right now. I think that this movie is a wash, and I think Todd Phillips is going to go on to work on other things, and it's definitely not, because he says he's got no interest.
Not
he's got
bigger and better things.
No, other things. I'm saying he has no interest in working with DC again in the future. James Gunn seems to have his vision for what DC is going to be firmly in hand. They have wrapped production on Superman. It's in post-production now. Creature Commandos is already done. They've got their idea of what they want it to be, and it's not going to look like Joker.
Well, it was never going to, right?
No, not with James Gunn. It was never going to look like that. I had this discussion on Saturday. I was like, does like James Gunn's ability to stay on track, get things done on time, fill anybody with a sense of optimism towards DC? A lot of people say no, because they just don't know if James Gunn's unique style of storytelling is exactly cut out for Superman, but we'll have to wait for the first trailer for that. And even then, as we know, trailers aren't always the greatest gauge for whether a movie is going to be successful or not. Strong word of mouth works the best. And what I think is funny about that is James Gunn has a strong track record with that. So we were talking about how Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is one of the few successful projects from Marvel in that phase, in Phase 4, didn't have a fantastic opening weekend, but strong word of mouth carried it to almost $900 million at the theaters. So if you can put out a Superman movie with strong word of mouth, even if it doesn't have the greatest opening weekend, which I can actually say is probably pretty reasonable, given that there is no faith in these companies right now. People aren't lining up to go to the first week at these movies because they don't know what they're going to get anymore, as is evident with most of Marvel Phase 4 and most of DC projects. If you can produce a decent Superman film, and I'm not even saying like knock it out of the park, a decent Superman film, hopeful, optimistic, it hits the marks it needs to. The hope would be that you can pull low drops, not 81% drops, low drops week to week, like a Top Gun Maverick or a Guardians of the Galaxy, and push that forward. And they need to do that with the next 3 to 5 films. They all have to have good word of mouth. They can't just have good opening weekends. That's what Batman vs. Superman did. Batman vs. Superman had a strong opening week and then fell off a cliff. You can't do that anymore. Word of mouth matters. We'll have to wait and see, but we're a year out from that now, because that'll be next summer. So we'll have to wait and see.
What's the status on that Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman?
No updates on that. If anybody knows anything what's going on with that, let us know. But I have no clue, and that'll be hilarious. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's move on then, shall we? What do we got next? We've got Lizzo.
Lizzo is continuing her weight loss journey, and she's sharing some of that on social media right now. She posted a video recently sharing the secret to her weight loss, and she said that she visited Japan and realized suddenly what healthy eating really was.
I feel like we could make a Karate Kid movie out of this.
Yeah. So let's just take a listen to what she had to say in that video.
Here we go.
Would I eat in a day as a former vegan who added protein to her diet? My reintroduction to protein started
Meaning you stopped
with Japan.
being vegan. Thank you.
Someone suggested I try a Japanese diet because it's one of the healthiest diets in the world, and it has some of my favorite foods. When I got to Japan, I was in awe at how clean and delicious their
Thank you.
Please.
I hope this counts the ones that came in before our issue.
Eating the carbs. Eat the carbs. They're eating the carbs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Thank you.
Hey guys. Lizzo is not eating the dogs or the cats. It's not what she's talking about here.
No.
She's not. Here we go.
food was.
Don't
I
get it
indulged
twisted.
in fresh sushi and fluffy egg, and I was amazed at how good
That actually
my body
does look
felt the next
bussin' though.
day. And that led me on a journey to figure out how animal proteins affect my body.
Okay, there's something weird about like staring dead at your phone while you eat food.
It's creepy.
It gives me the same vibe, and you know how irrationally angry I get when women make gossip videos while doing makeup. It's like the
So I
end
went on
of-
this date last night.
Yes, she's putting on her fake eyelashes, and it makes me want to die when I see those things.
After tests and research,
Okra
I found
water.
that animal proteins helped me
Ew.
have more energy, lose weight.
We have a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. Joker 2 is sounding more and more like the Heaven's Gate disaster, just like Michael Camino. After The Deer Hunter, Phillips got a little big for his britches.
I mean, there's a lot of movies that have bombed out, but those are older examples, right? Like what would be a recent example that you can think of a movie that bombed as bad? I mean, Aquaman.
You mean a sequel?
Yeah, like Aquaman bombed as bad as it did because it was the end of the DC EU. And the Marvels. Those are great recent examples of films that had fantastic originals that just absolutely plummeted in their sequels.
I mean, most sequels.
And when I
don't
say great
outperform.
originals, I mean like great box office. I'm not saying necessarily great movies. I just
Sure.
know somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, actually, the Captain Marvel was awful." I'm not saying that. I'm saying it made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
I do believe that the vegan diet is still the healthiest diet to have.
Boo,
and I
you're
aspire
wrong.
to one day be a raw alkaline vegan.
Don't do it, Lizzo.
Until
please.
then, this is the diet that's helped me reach my goals.
What about Alkaline
and help me
Trio?
feel good.
Did you
in my
listen to
body.
Alkaline Trio?
It can be scary talking about things like this because
She's a
veganism is
Stanley.
such a sensitive subject. People are vegan for many reasons, whether it be health or environmental or love for the animals or all of the above. I'm aware how people could take this and how it can make them feel. But I'd rather be honest and share my story in my own words. Whether you're vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, white meat only, or fully carnivorous, I'm not going to judge you. Do what's best for you in your life at that moment. All that matters is that you're happy. And if you're happy, I'm happy.
When it comes to food, she's very libertarian.
Is she like more positive than she used to be?
Sounds a little bit less pessimistic and less bitchy.
It's less snarky,
Yeah.
like less sassy. Yeah.
Well, she's going through a rebrand right
Sensing that she's trying to rebrand after the whole banana debacle. That Stanzatastic said we're starting Cringe of the Day a bit earlier today, aren't we? I don't think this is cringe necessarily. I think she's just, posting an honest update.
Can we get Michaela Peterson to introduce her to the carnivore diet?
No. Can people stop with these weird fad trend diets? It's so...
She didn't even mention
It's
keto.
so weird.
She didn't even mention keto.
Like, I don't know. It's just... Obviously, veganism is an eating disorder. Okay? But they'll get real mad at you on right-wing Twitter if you say that being a carnivore is equally strange.
You were a vegan for a while when you were younger?
Yes, I was vegan from age 14 to age 19, which was far too long. And first of all, I stopped because of medication I was taking. They were like, this isn't going to help your medication absorb. But also, I was getting fat. Being vegan made me fat. And I'm just saying not fat, but like fat by like my standards.
Yes.
For me.
Do you know what caused it?
It's because I wasn't eating actual nutrients and, I had a very deficient diet. So I was eating more and more empty calories to make up for how deficient I was. And it wasn't working. So I was getting fat. So people talk about veganism making you dangerously skinny. That did not happen to me.
Don't worry, guys. If it makes you feel any better, I will eat twice as unhealthy to make up for Lizzo improving her.
Maybe veganism is what got Lizzo so fat
Could've
in
been.
the first place.
wonder how
I
it
would
will-
know. I experienced it.
I wonder how it will affect her ability to perform on stage, right? I actually imagine she'll have more energy because we've talked about before, as big as she was, it doesn't mean she was out of shape in the same way that a normal out of shape person is, right?
Yeah.
Because she has to be live on stage for hours at a time, much like a linebacker who you can't win in football practice. I wonder how it'll affect her stage performance.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. However, some people still don't believe her that she is
because it's
genuine in her weight loss journey, that she's actually exercising, that she's actually eating healthier. Tristan Tate responded to this and said, it's Ozempic. It always will be Ozempic with every celebrity from now on. The diet and exercise pics are just a grift. They're still monstrously unhealthy, but simply drugged up on Ozempic. So he's basically saying this is all a gigantic LARP, and Lizzo is just posting this to seem relatable, but really she's on that sweet Ozempic off label.
It's really funny. I've been watching a lot of these videos where like on workout channels that like critique other like actors or celebrities saying like, I'm not on steroids. And they're like,
really though?
Really? Like, one of my favorite ones here is like, they ask, I think it's Howard Stern asked John Cena, like, are you on steroids? And he's like, well, no. And he goes, well, that's because if he was to admit that, he's admitting to a felony.
Right, exactly.
So one does not usually incriminate themselves on live television.
Not the same situation for Ozempic. If you're lying about being on Ozempic and you're claiming that it's just diet and exercise, that's about your pride.
Yeah.
You're lying to people because you are prideful and you don't want to admit that you took the easy way out.
Look, I have no problem with them admitting that they're on steroids. Outside of the whole, against the law part that could get him into trouble, they still have to do the work. They still have to go to the gym and do that stuff. That doesn't bother me one bit. Like, I don't look at The Rock and think...
But it is a crime.
I don't look at The Rock and think, oh... He cut corners to get there, I think.
No, I honestly think it's like not the best way for someone to lose weight, taking Ozempic, but it's better than nothing. It's better than dying young, okay? And I actually have been getting inundated with so many ads for Ozempic recently. I don't know if have you had this too?
Doesn't happen to me.
I just, on YouTube, I get so many ads for semaglutide. And it's not claiming that it's for diabetes anymore. It's all
so
very explicitly for weight loss.
I told you when we were at the mall, and there was just a big ad on like a wall at the mall that was like, it's not cutting corners, it's healthcare.
We're literally living in the same world as WALL-E. I don't know if you ever watched that movie, but everyone is just like bags of lard, and they sit in levitating electric chairs that take them all over the place to get new food. That's the reality that we're living in if Ozempic doesn't save us before that happens. And also, I just want to give us some credit because we deserve it in this moment. We were talking about Ozempic like way before everybody else was.
It was not a big topic of discussion yet.
Let me look it up on our channel and just see the earliest video that we posted about Ozempic.
It's funny because I just saw I saw a tweet earlier from this lady who says like, she's like, I just got my Adderall for the first time and realized that for the first time in 30 years, I feel like how I'm supposed to feel. I'm like, no, you're on uppers, you're on meth, basically. That's not how you're supposed to feel.
Oh, okay. I'm seeing it now. Our first video about Ozempic is Hollywood's new expensive weight loss drug of choice from September 2022. So that was way ahead of the game. Yep. Nobody else was talking about it. We started the trend. I just want to put that out there.
It's just funny because people have just accepted now that maybe it's just the speed at which the world moves now, the amount of technology you have to interface on a daily basis with. But there's people, they just tacitly admit they're like, they need Adderall to survive, which is like, look, I was prescribed it for years because I had, a lot of issues when I was younger. And it took time for me to learn how to live without it once I got off of it. But you can do it. But people are just, this lady's saying like, for the first time in 30 years, I feel like how I'm supposed to feel. I'm like, if you're taking a substance to feel that way, that's not how you're supposed to feel.
Me when I do recreational ketamine at the sweat tour, I finally feel the way I'm supposed to feel. I finally feel the way I'm supposed to feel because I'm on drugs.
All right. Well, 2022, we were very ahead of the curve.
Yeah, seriously. I think we deserve some applause for that.
Everybody applaud.
Everybody clap.
They're clapping right now.
Please clap.
All right, Kanye West.
That's my Jeb moment. Okay, so I don't want to make light of this. Kanye is facing some explosive allegations, and it's causing us to ask, was he present at these alleged Diddy freak-off parties? So back in June, his ex-assistant, Lauren Pichata, launched a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Kanye. alleging he had created a hostile workplace environment and engaged in sexual misconduct while he was employing her. And on the backstory for that, I had to go back and look at our video on this. Essentially, he found this woman because she was incredibly successful on OnlyFans back in 2021. And he said he wanted to make her godlike. So he made her an offer she couldn't refuse. He was going to pay her $1 million salary in exchange for her quitting OnlyFans. So he was going to match all of the simp donations
But does that make
so
him
that
the
she would
ultimate-
quit doing online sex work.
Does that make him the ultimate simp? Or
It makes him the ultimate simp.
Or does it make him an instrument of God?
Neither.
Okay.
I think he might have been the ultimate simp, though.
Okay.
So in this lawsuit, there are new allegations involving Diddy that raise more questions. So Lauren Pichata alleges that Kanye West drugged and essayed her in a studio session that was co-hosted by Diddy. She claims she felt disoriented after having a drink and woke up the next morning feeling immense shame and not remembering what happened. Kanye allegedly confessed to her years later that they had hooked up, quote unquote, that night. So I guess she was completely unconscious, unaware of the situation, allegedly.
So does that mean that he drugged her or that she just didn't know how to handle her liquor? Because that doesn't really answer the question there.
The implication there is a roofie was in her drink or some kind of drugging unbeknownst to her, but all it says is she felt disoriented, which sounds like another symptom of drunkenness.
Yes. It's like that. Have you ever seen the picture? I think it ended up being proved as fake or something. It's like Brad gets drunk and Emily gets drunk, and they hook up. Brad is responsible.
Right.
Yeah,
I've seen that poster.
Those weren't the actual
I don't know if
names,
it was real, but yeah.
Those weren't the actual names. I just made two names up. But you understand what I'm saying, right? Like Michael gets drunk, so and so gets drunk. Who's responsible? Well, the man is responsible because they don't actually view women as equal to them.
According to the lawsuit, soon after they arrived, drinks were served to her and others in attendance, followed by an announcement that everybody had to drink if they wanted to stay.
There's a reasonable assumption then that something could have been put into her drink if those were the requirements.
Yeah. That's a little weird. I mean, it's classic Diddy party behavior, though.
Yep.
Lauren says she did drink, but after a few small sips poured at the direction of Kanye West, aka Ye, by an assistant and then served to her by Kanye West, she suddenly started to feel disoriented. She says she woke up the next day remembering almost nothing of what took place at that studio session and felt immense shame and embarrassment. And he did admit later on that they hooked up that night, allegedly. Before he provided those details, Lauren says she thought she simply got roofied and embarrassed herself at a work function. But yeah, she was already suing him for other sexual misconduct allegations.
Which is what we covered 4 months ago.
Well, yeah, she was basically made into his personal executive assistant / chief of staff back in 2021. And she was not, in fact, doing anything. He basically hired her just so that he could hook up with her.
Yeah.
If we're being completely honest, that's what it sounds like from the story that she gave. And then she realized she felt uncomfortable with that, which is difficult for me to believe.
Yeah. That she didn't understand what was coming. And all of this
from an actual prostitute. I find that difficult to believe.
And this is all on the face of. Did you see that there was another round of Diddy accusations of lawsuits that were just filed? I just sent you the link right there.
Oh.
Sean Diddy Combs hit with new lawsuits alleging sexual assault. This is literally from like an hour ago.
Wow. Okay. So this is not the same lawyer that we were talking about from Texas. This is in New York.
Yes, 5 new cases obtained by NBC News were filed in the Southern District of New York on behalf of 3 males and 2 females, none of whom are named in the filings. The incidents allege that the complaints span from 1995 to 2021 and include allegations of essay and yes.
Should I get into some of the details here?
I mean, I don't. I'm just. It all kind of goes together.
It all blends
It all
together,
blends
but
together.
I guess, now that everything is public, you could easily fabricate a story that follows the pattern
Yes,
of
it
events.
would be very easy to do that, and a lot of it is just overwhelming the courts.
Yeah. Okay, so this is filed by that attorney we were talking about from
But just
Texas.
in a different
Right.
jurisdiction.
So these were all filed by Tony Busby from Texas, who he announced that he was going to be doing this October 1st. This is under the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act. Never heard of that before. He said, we're just going to try to file cases that we feel are credible and legitimate. That's an overarching theme here, as you can probably see, which is basically Sean Combs feels like he can do whatever he wants whenever he wants to do it.
But there's no way to prove any of this. That's
the point of it going to court.
It's even with
Maybe there
is
is a way to prove it and you just don't know yet because they haven't gone to trial.
Even with burden of proof being lower in civil cases, how do you prove something like this long after the fact? Unless there were actual rape kits done and procedure followed, how do you do this?
I also saw that Bow Wow made a comment recently saying that the music industry just doesn't feel the same without Diddy these days.
Yeah.
There's so he says he feels Diddy's presence is missing. He says after the weekend of the BET Awards, there were no parties, no motion, nowhere to go. And when Diddy was around, there was always a party and a place to go after an event. He's just sad that he misses Diddy. Feels like it's a big loss to the culture.
So I don't know
can't
if
go to one of these baby oil fueled freak offs.
In the chat, Sketch Therapy says he chooses cases of people that went to the hospital and tested positive and had kits done. I mean, even so, 1995 was a long time ago. And evidence sits for that long, degrades, has to get retested. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here where it feels like they just want to, overload the case and then settle out of court, right?
So you think it is for a payday?
I don't know. I can't honestly say. I just know that as these cases come forward, you have to at least approach it with a healthy level of skepticism, because though I, in my mind, believe that he's probably guilty of most of it, the Cassie video proves that he's clearly the type of person that doesn't have an issue with harming others. I do also believe that there are people in the world that want to make money off of these types of situations, and I think it's naive to think that there aren't.
Well, what we said about this lawsuit from the ex-assistant, she's not making any accusations up until just now that Kanye really did anything criminal other than, he didn't give me $3 million of severance pay. Yeah. Okay. So she's not really a perfect victim here. But as for Diddy, well, here's the thing we said about that lawsuit. I said it's a cash grab and it's probably true. Yeah. Both can be true at once. Exactly. There's nothing discordant about that, honestly. But as for Diddy, there's literally nothing but time that can tell us. Yeah. And maybe not even that.
All right. All right. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
You decide.
Let's go ahead and let me start with cute first, and then we'll do cringe. We'll do cringe second. Also, guys, make sure you submit your pets for cute of the day. Hashtag PCC Pets. Tag me and the show in there. I just want to make sure we get an updated list of those. I got to keep adding a few because I was gone. I'm a little bit behind. So go ahead and tag us in there. I don't know if we did this one, but I'm going to show it again because it's awesome. Here we go. Okay. This is from Sydney Vox.
I haven't seen it.
Ophelia after getting her hair cut at the groomer.
Very cute tail. Love it.
I like it. So we were at a vendor event this weekend that was at a Lutheran church that was doing a blessing of the animals, and they had a dog race and a parade. A race. Yes, a dog race. They ran in a circle, and they also had like a parade of animals and everything like that. It was, and there was even a lady who brought her cat in like a big, like backpack that you wear.
Oh, I love those. Yeah. Yeah, it depends on the cat, though. I don't know if some of them can handle it.
All right, let's do. No, the lady said she had 3 cats, and this was the only one that could do it. And even then, said like the first hour she was good, but the rest of the time she's a little bit more standoffish. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Also, people would be annoyed. Normally, when pets come by, I'm hesitant to pet them unless I get permission to do so. These people were like offended that I didn't want to just reach out and...
They should be. Yeah. They should be offended. Well, it's a pet event.
Well, just saying, it's good to keep your hands to yourself. If Diddy had learned that when he was a kid, we probably wouldn't be going through all this.
They are called pets for a reason. You pet them.
All right, let's do one more here. Crypto. This is from, it looks like Nate.
How many
says,
cats am I even looking at right now?
It says, meet Luna and Panda. Luna the dog came from the streets 2.5 years ago, and this past summer found Panda, a little kitten, crying from a junk pile beside my home, sick and injured, nursed him back to health, and now they are best buds.
Oh,
That is the greatest story ever. I love it.
that's so cute.
Adorable. That is
I
amazing.
love it.
All right, let's go ahead and do cringe as well then today, ladies and gentlemen. What do we got?
We have
here?
two, don't we?
We do. Well, let's watch the tame one first because this is what they would call late stage capitalism.
Yeah, they released a limited time only Wicked musical themed Stanley Cup.
They just love those Stanleys.
So all the women had to go barging in to get it.
Here they are.
Speed walking.
I like that. What they're,
Ew.
you know what they're doing? You know what they're doing? They're doing the walk you do when you're crossing the street against the light.
And someone's looking at you.
Yeah.
Ew. The speed walking was an ick. This is mental illness.
I'm picturing all of communist Twitter being just horrified at this.
I'm not a communist, but this is horrifying.
Wow, that's all they got.
There aren't even the normal size Stanley
people
Cup.
even learn what scarcity is? This isn't all they got.
Did you get him? Got him.
There's more in the
They
back.
got him.
Did you see the people? Did somebody grab something out of your hand? Did somebody grab something out of your hand? Because they tried to grab something out of my child's hand.
Yeah. I was
What is this?
and she's like, "This is all they have," and I said, "No, they're right here." And then she tries to take mine, and I said, "No."
We have been here since 6:30 this morning, and that woman's like, "Don't touch it." I was like, "Oh, I don't
Sorry,
know
you just
who
pulled up
are."
at 8.
Right, right.
Nuts.
So look, girls, we did it. Let me see him. Let's see him. In your pajamas, up since 6 o'clock in the morning, and they got him. They got their alpha buzz.
Do kids care about Wicked?
I didn't know that they did.
This is the
A
pink
little
one.
bit.
Consume. Buy. Consume.
What is this?
Yeah, victorious. Great job.
It's just a piece of plastic.
Yeah.
Why? Why is this a thing? This was actually worse than you said it would be. Because
Think
I
so?
hadn't seen this one. You did. Yeah. That's... And can you imagine, like, lining up outside the Target?
So I used to work. I used to work at a Target. I worked at the photo lab at a Target, and what they would do, Minnesota had a radio station called Cities 97, and they would every year they would put out what was called the Cities 97 sampler, which was like a limited edition CD that would go to the stores, and then people would line up outside to get their hands on like one of them because they only made so many. And of course, by the time they left, you know, another batch would seemingly come out later. Maybe I'm misremembering that part of it, but definitely skipped the line and got it for my mom.
Yeah.
Every year.
As you should. Use
Every
your
year.
privilege.
Yes, exactly. It's like,
But can you imagine being one of these people that camps out in a line on the sidewalk outside of a Target in the middle of the night
I mean,
for
you
a
know,
damn cup? For a cup.
The bros will do it for a video game system back in the day. So
At least
I
that's something that makes it just a tad more sense to me.
yeah, get more use out of it.
It's actually like an expensive investment type of thing that you're buying. You're going to be using it for years.
And the worst
This
part
is
is
just a
like
cup.
a lot of it will end up being bought by people who then sell them online for more.
Right, exactly.
Scalpers.
Black market.
Black market.
For Stanley Cups.
You'll go up and they'll be like, you can only get okay. So Olivia will do this with like these like the retro, like they have the little mini, like it's like the ball,
Miniature
the
things.
miniatures, and she does it because she makes jewelry out of them for her Etsy. And they had one recently where like they had a limited edition one that was being sold at Ulta, and they had like a limit of like you could only buy so many.
How many?
I think it was like 5.
okay.
Anymore, and like I was like, well, these artificially inflated or these artificially manufactured price controls are bullshit. Then I had to show him Thomas Sowell videos, of course.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
All right, we have one more here. We got
Yeah.
one more. All right, let's watch this one. What does this one say? It says Fear Buck. I feel like we see that name all the time when we're doing.
He's just
Cringe.
one of those accounts
Okay.
that posts these things.
Here we go.
You guys gonna make eye contact and not talk? Come on, come over here, make a U-turn. Let's talk about this. You got braids and everything. Why are you walking away? That's crazy, bro.
It's like if Trevor Wallace wasn't funny, because Trevor Wallace is actually funny.
I'm trying to tell y'all, bro. I think I'm invincible in some shit, bro. I think it's the aura.
Ask Chad if the mic's working.
Chat, is the mic everything good, bro? I think it's too much aura and energy.
I think it's the fact that he's wearing a Rode mic on his hat. It looks like he put his cochlear implant in the wrong place.
That's what it is. It's the aura and the energy, chat. You know what I mean? It is what it is, bro.
He doesn't have a level 10 aura.
How you doing? We're making eye contact. What's good?
What's good? Is that how you flirt with women now? You say, "What's good?" He has the same line every single time. He says, "We're making eye contact right now. We're making eye contact right now."
I mean, I don't know how tall bro is, but that's working against him. As a fellow short dude, I can appreciate.
No, because look, she's in stilettos and they're basically equal height.
She's taller than him with the heels on.
I don't know. As far as I can tell.
You know, maybe it's the jersey. Maybe
maybe it's the fact that you're filming yourself on the street harassing people for clout. It might be that. Might be that makes you so repulsive.
I'm trying to tell y'all, bro. I think I'm invincible in some shit, bro. I think it's the aura.
I think it's the aura.
Chat, is the mic...
These people over here are like that poor bastard. Can't even annoy people right. In the chat, they're like, yeah, the Ravens suck. Yeah, that could be what it is. They're just like, you have horrible taste in football teams.
I'm sure that's what she was thinking in that moment.
All right, let's go ahead and get started then, shall we? Now that we're 46 minutes into the show, we're making good time.
An incredibly annoying actor named Simu Liu recently guest starred on a show called The Dragon's Den. And if you're unfamiliar, this is basically a Canadian spin-off of Shark Tank, where entrepreneurs go in and pitch their products to the team. So they sometimes have celebrities join the show, and I have no idea why. But Simu Liu was invited on this show, and he ruined the fun for everyone. This company came in to pitch their brand of boba tea drinks. And immediately, Simu Liu, being one of the wokest actors in Hollywood, he had to take this opportunity to act like he was offended about this. He immediately launched into a rant about cultural appropriation because he is Asian. He is Chinese Canadian heritage. And he felt personally attacked by the fact that two white people had a brand of boba tea that is connected to Asian heritage in general. So he accused them of cultural appropriation, and he really thought he ate in this moment.
In the chat, they're saying that Dragon's Den was the original concept of this, and that
really it was Americans that made it better, like usual.
Man. I hate it how that happens all the time.
I love that cultural appropriation at its finest.
Let's watch this one.
I am studying your can, and I am looking for anything that tells me where boba came from. And where boba came from is Taiwan. You know, I started this venture company for a lot of reasons, but really primarily to uplift minority entrepreneurs. And not only do I feel like this is not happening here, but that I would be uplifting a business that is profiting off of something that feels so dear to my cultural heritage. I want to be a part of bringing boba to the masses, but not like this. So for that reason, I'm out.
Can I just say that, like, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna have an energy drink on the show today. He started talking, and I'm like, nah, I have to drink an energy drink today. I can't make it through this without it.
Well, this, I mean,
Respect that.
Respect that.
They have to say they respect it.
They cannot
have to
say any other answer.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He was just bullying them into submission, and then he had some more comments later on. He got into a back and forth with one of the actual hosts of the show.
Should we play the rest of this clip? Or
yes.
Is it, okay.
Yeah. She was telling him, you know, you're kind of attacking them for no reason, bro.
Here we go.
It makes me sad how successful this business is. It makes me sad that
just that sentence alone is crazy.
Let's actually stop it right there.
Crazy.
Let's stop it right there. You don't even really have to go further. Let's just unpack, as much as you hate that term, the idea that this company's success actually bothers him. That is the level of hate that is in the heart of your average social justice person.
It makes me so sad how successful this company is.
That is the...
Screw you!
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So it gets worse here.
People are, they're drinking boba.
That envy is, you can't fix that, by the way. That is almost unfixable in most people.
Yeah,
it's ingrained from an early age, and if you see the world through that lens, it's actually shocking that you can end up being successful when that level of envy courses through your veins. If the success of other people bothers you, then the whole point is supposed to be, then you create a better product that more properly represents your values.
Or invest in whatever it is you believe in. But you can see, I've never heard of these other people on the show, but obviously since they're the mainstays, these are actual business executives. Like, these are actual venture capitalists who understand how to evaluate the if a company deserves their investment.
You have to be more neutral.
She is being the neutral party here and telling him he's being ridiculous, but he's not willing to listen. So here's their back and forth.
But with the raccoon with the sun,
it doesn't mean that
like
they don't have the opportunity
he's offended by the mascot.
There has to be a willingness, and I have to be able to invest in these founders knowing that, that change is possible.
They didn't say no. The collaboration that they've had to this point is with their supplier in Taiwan. And if nobody else has told them that before, you can't put that all on them.
No rebuttal, just stares into the distance.
He's like, I don't like the sunglasses.
He doesn't like that their mascot for the brand is a raccoon with sunglasses holding up the cans of boba tea. He thinks it's just disrespectful to the Asian culture.
Shouldn't he be speaking Chinese or French if he's Canadian then? Is English really, that seems like some type of cultural appropriation to me. What I found funny about it is, like, on its face, a multicultural society actually has a lot of benefit in the business sector, in the business sector, because you can grow on ideas and you can build on them with your own unique perspectives. I think the best pizza places over here are both run by a Latino family. Which is, and nobody cares. Nobody will ever care, because the whole idea is,
you don't see Italians out there picketing, protesting the idea that like a non-Italian family could own a pizza joint.
How a product is started matters less than how unique perspectives from different backgrounds can improve upon it. But he doesn't want it to be improved upon. What he wants is for you to bend the knee and somehow find what does he want from this? I don't actually understand what his end game is for this.
He basically just thinks that they don't deserve to start a company on this concept because they're white. That's literally just he wasn't coming out and explicitly saying that, but it's essentially what he meant. And I saw this post from Kangmin Lee. He said, a Chinese Canadian claiming a drink that was invented in Taiwan, who played a Korean in Kim's Convenience and complaining in a Western language on a Western television program while wearing Western attire. Your cultural heritage sounds a bit appropriatory, doesn't it? And this is where you end up in an impossible situation. You can't do anything without offending someone. So people tend to just give up and go about their day.
I pointed out, I said, didn't China invent pasta? Would the would the Chinese be mad at the Italians for appropriating
There are
pasta?
like so many examples of that, where disparate cultures on different sides of the globe invented things at the same time or at different times without ever communicating with each other. But one can therefore claim, we did it first, therefore it's ours.
You know what is incompatible?
It's vindictive.
You know what's incompatible with all this is the envy that he's talking about. It's the envy and the anger that he feels towards people that look different than him. You can't function in a society if all you feel is some type of anger or resentment towards another culture. If you can come together and build things together, what's the joke? It's always like, be like more like Mario. Have you ever seen that one? I'll see if I can pull it up here.
I don't think so. But after this segment was released, I noticed that the company that was in this video, Boba, it's spelled B-O-B-B-A. They started getting a bunch of hate comments from a bunch of woke people that joined his side. They joined Simu side, and he had to post this video telling them to put down the pitchforks. It's in the TMZ article if you have it.
Yeah.
But he basically was telling people, like, please stop leaving bullying comments under these two entrepreneurs' posts, because I criticized them on national television.
What's more interesting to me is why would you invite him? I guess does he own some type of venture capital firm? Why would you invite just a traditional celebrity unless they have a strong background in business?
No, they just do that for the show sometimes, just, to get eyes on it.
Like
that seems normal to me.
It makes a little bit more sense to me if that celebrity is like I could actually.
If you brought on Ryan Reynolds,
yeah,
my
exactly.
gosh,
Okay, that
yes.
makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
That's somebody who has a strong background in business and understands that when you create something, it's not necessarily look at Elon
or like
Musk.
even Kim Kardashian, like any of these people who run product lines. I don't know why he was on it.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I can't. It's the envy. It's the resentment that they feel towards other people. It's synonymous with that way of thinking because it falls along the same type of hierarchical thinking that they have towards affinity groups.
This gets so much worse. The company, Boba, had to post an official statement in response to the controversy.
And apologize?
I really hope they didn't, but let's just take a look here. They said, "Dear valued customers and the public, we are very sorry for our delayed response. We needed time to do our due diligence and fully understand the gravity of this situation." It's boba tea.
There is no gravity.
There is no gravity to the situation. It's boba tea. Okay. First and foremost, we want to deeply apologize for the harm we have caused by our words and actions on the show.
What harm? What harm? What? You offended a Hollywood actor.
Please. This is just too much sometimes. While it was never our intention to cause harm or disrespect the community that created and popularized this beloved drink, we take full responsibility for the impact of our actions. Additionally, Simu Liu raised very valid points regarding cultural appropriation, and we welcome this learning opportunity. We fully understand the backlash over our feature based on what people saw on TV. When we said you're never quite sure about its contents, in reference to boba, we were not referring to the traditional bubble tea formula found in specialized shops, nor were we criticizing it. We can appreciate that this wasn't communicated effectively, as English is our second language, because they're French Canadian. What we were comparing it to is other ready-to-drink products in big box stores. On the show,
we have to talk about the MSG.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that because there were other comments.
You have no idea how deep the well of weird social justice mental illness goes.
I thought we were over this. I thought we were past peak woke. I really did. But sometimes situations like this prove me wrong.
I made a joke and then it turned out that I wasn't even far off of what actually was being said.
We have speculated on the show, have we passed peak woke yet? Are we finally putting wokeness to rest? But no, maybe we haven't. Maybe we're still in the age of woke because situations like this still happen. But anyway, they went on to say, we presented our newest formula, which hasn't been released everywhere yet. In this version, we've removed artificial coloring, flavoring, and preservatives while maintaining lower sugar content. This is why we mentioned a healthier option on the show. And this is where the controversy comes in, because it wasn't just cultural appropriation that people had a problem with. It was stigmatizing Asian food as less healthy and low class.
And I made some
This person
joke
commented, we have a crisis party.
Hold, please.
Eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Okay, so this person commented here, the problem is not that they're making a boba product. The problem is they're marketing it as a healthier and better option than traditional bubble tea and perpetuating the narrative that Asian food is inherently lower class and unhealthy. They're basically saying their product is better because it's got the white stamp of approval. This is an echo of the xenophobic MSG rhetoric all over again.
I made a joke beforehand that it had something to do with MSG and I was kidding, but that's actually what they believe.
Xenophobic MSG rhetoric.
It's so everybody else is QAnon, but it's a xenophobic MSG conspiracy against another culture. That's insane. And you're mentally ill.
Yeah. I cannot believe that people like this still exist in the year of 2024. we're like a decade past what is called the current year.
Yes.
Can we move on already?
No, you can't. Well, not as long as the internet
Can we be done with this?
Not as long as the internet exists. It'll never happen.
Why are these people, like, how are they real?
The
how do you
worst-
exist? And I, you know what? Like, the company now, they deserve it because they apologized for nothing. They apologized for absolutely nothing. They did nothing wrong.
Yep.
So at this point, you know, they're throwing you to the wolves. Fine.
Apologizing is never the answer. It will never be enough. They will never take your apology on its face. They will say that they forgive you and then use it against you whenever you step out of line next, whatever that may be.
Despite our intentions, we take responsibility and are accountable for the impact this has had. It's clear that we should have called upon the expertise of Taiwanese partners to shape the ways in which we give credit to the cultural roots of bubble tea and ensure cultural integrity by acknowledging its origins in Taiwanese culture. We will reevaluate our branding, packaging, and marketing strategies to ensure that they reflect a respectful and accurate representation of our Taiwanese partners and bubble tea's cultural roots. We will commit to further learning about the impacts of cultural appropriation to ensure we are equipped with the skills to effectively work cross-culturally. We are confident if we continue to engage in open dialogue, community leaders and stakeholders, we will prevent this from happening again in the future. We understand that actions speak louder than words, and as such, we are committed to taking these necessary steps to ensure our future decisions reflect our values and the deep respect we have for Taiwanese culture. This has been a valuable learning experience for all of us, and we understand your negative reactions, but we feel the hate speech and death threats are absolutely uncalled for and need to stop. We truly hope that people give us a chance to set things right and show you that we can do better. So two white people made a boba tea brand and got death threats for it because some insufferable woke actor set the wolves on them. Yep. This is the situation that we're looking at right here. This is just straight up mental illness. Like, you need to just be locked up. You need to be locked up. I'm going to just start saying that. Like, all of these people, they just need to be locked up because I don't want to live in a society with people who act like this.
Also, he wasn't even in Crazy Rich Asians. That was Henry Golding. So, you know, it's even worse than...
What is?
I'm saying it's even worse. He doesn't have that claim to fame. He just got
no. He wasn't even invited.
Yeah.
How are you gonna hate from outside the club? You can't even get in.
I mean, how can is that cultural appropriation for him to be in Barbie because Barbie wasn't invented in Canada?
I don't remember ever seeing Asian Ken dolls, but you know, that's just me.
There you have it. So he becomes more insufferable as time goes on.
Oh, and I just wanted to mention, by the way, that Simu Liu in the past has defended destigmatizing PDF files in society and compared it, actually saying it has no difference between that as a sexual orientation and being gay.
That was the stuff on Reddit back in the day, right? Under a sock account.
He said that he played a PDF file in like a movie or a show or something, and it woke him up. It made him realize that we need to have more sympathy for these people. It's not a black and white issue. That's what he said.
In the chat, Jackson Wan says Brett and Mary, Simu Liu was not in Crazy Rich Asians. That was Henry Golding. Yeah, you might be catching up on the episode. Yeah, we corrected that mistake. That was Aquafina. Sorry, Aquafina.
But anyway, we are just talking about a piece of human garbage here.
So Aquafina was in Shang-Chi, so technically we were like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon away from it.
Right, it's a small world.
All right, let's go to some super chats there.
Okay, I have to go back to the very first ones.
Yes.
Can you pull those up for me? Because I don't have them.
All the way to the top there. Shane H. Wilder.
Happy Manic Monday, Brett and Mary. Mary, free cinnamon twists or cinnamon delights today at Taco Bell. Let's go. I didn't know that.
It does sound good.
I don't know. I've been eating so much Taco Bell. I just need to stop.
I'm not gonna lie. That whole last topic was one of those ones where I actually just wish that we had like a smarter person than me on to actually dismantle how stupid it was, because it's one of those ones where I could probably, like, you did a very good job of it, but you needed somebody who's actually just smarter than me to sit with you and be like, this is why this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
But we don't need to make sense of it. It's just Mental
all I
illness.
get when I see all that stuff is a whole bunch of sour grapes. And you can't fix that mindset of these are the haves, these are the have-nots. And that level of envy is not really fixable once you get into adulthood. Like, it doesn't change.
Yeah, he is grievance personified.
Yeah.
Literally. Okay, Shane H. Wilder said negging is gay. The hoodie will be here Saturday.
Let's go. You ordered the hoodie. Thank you for ordering that. And guys, speaking of hoodie, if you are looking for a hoodie this winter, you should get this hoodie, which is available on our Teespring, the brand new PCC Stealth pullover hoodie, which allows you to wear the logo, but not wear it so boldly that it's like in your face.
Very subtle.
It's very subtle. It's very demure.
Very demure, very mindful.
I heard somebody say that.
I'm not like you other crisis actors.
I heard somebody say that out loud at a store the other day, and I almost threw up.
Yeah.
Like they like said it to their friend. They're like, very demure. And I'm like, and they're like, and I'm like,
okay, this next one from Andrew Jacobs. Mary, because of those insufferable see you next Tuesdays, I can't read the rest of it. I don't see it.
Gretchen Whitmer and Liz Plank.
Mocking the Eucharist. I apologize on behalf of all non-Catholics.
Was that the video of her like feeding someone a chip that I saw?
So there are layers to this. Apparently it's a TikTok trend. And also Doritos are like a Kamala thing now because she said that Doritos are her guilty pleasure. And Gretchen Whitmer fed this podcaster Liz Plank a Dorito while Liz Plank was on the floor on her knees looking up at Gretchen, and then she like creepily looks at the camera after the fact. And
maybe Joe Rogan can feed Donald Trump an On It alpha brain when he does his podcast.
It's just like, why? Like, who came up with this? But I highly doubt that it was intentionally about Catholics, you know?
Not as bad as Tim Walz trying to shoot a shotgun.
I didn't see that, thank God. And Corey Anderson said, Simu sounds like the name of a killer whale at SeaWorld. Damn. Do they still have those?
I thought they got rid of that.
I thought they said they were going to just let them die and not have any more. Those poor things.
Let's do one more.
That Stanzatastic said, when is Brain Rot of the Day segment happening?
Oh, well, that's a good time to run this question by. If you guys liked Brain Rot of the Day, I can continue to do it. My phone is becoming more and more unhinged the more of it that I actively save rather than, because like on I almost said on Facebook, on X or on Instagram, if you save things or bookmark it, it fundamentally starts to change your algorithm because you're interacting more directly with it than just liking it. So the brain rot that I'm getting sent now is getting more and more unhinged, and I'm happy to wade through it, but that's
the one you showed me earlier is not going to be shown.
No. That's not even brain rot.
On this show.
That's not even brain rot.
I mean, it was pretty brain rot.
It's extremely politically incorrect brain rot. But yeah, like you can't show that. It wouldn't be that one. I'm smart enough not to show that one on that one on the show.
Okay. Corey Anderson said dress up for Knowles, but not the crisis actors. I'm glad you mentioned that because in case you didn't see it already, I did a little TikTok reaction video with Michael Knowles over on his channel, and that video came out on Saturday. So if you haven't seen it, go after this live stream is over and watch it. Let me know what you thought. Yes, I did dress up for that video because Michael Knowles just matters more.
Jackson 1 in the chat is still talking about Henry Golding. I am assuming we're muted and you can't hear us right now, my friend, because I'm actually addressing you directly. We understand that he's not.
Is everything okay over there?
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead. Let's move on. It's time to talk about the brand new D-list, A-list over at Hollywood.
The last week, Hollywood Reporter put out a piece called Hollywood Meet Your New A-List. And essentially, they just put together a list of all of these influencers, TikTokers, YouTubers, podcasters, fashion influencers, all of these people who you have never heard of, likely. And they said, Hollywood, you need to get used to it. Legacy media needs to start taking advantage of collaborations with new media. and stop having a stick up your ass about it. So here's what they said. From staggeringly talented TikTokers to the Instagram stars we can't look away from, these are the names who will and should be dominating the business of new and old media. And the first response I saw to this was, it's crazy that A-listers used to be household names and now it's just a bunch of random people no one will remember in 2 years.
All that has to do with is the decentralization of media, meaning that back in the day you had 4 news networks and a couple of channels and they told you who to watch. Now that's gone.
It was their decision.
It was their decision.
Who was relevant.
Now, and it's not to, you should not discount any of these people. Every single person on this list, even if you haven't heard of them, commands a following of millions of people.
Yeah, tens of millions.
Tens
of
millions
people, yeah.
of people. In a lot of ways, these people are the future of entertainment. It's just that what happens when you talk about these celebrities is the same thing that happened when the Kardashians became the household names that they are, which is most people say, well, how do you get famous with no talent? But that can be distilled down even further. People say the same thing about actors. They say, why would this person get famous? All they do is pretend to be other people, which is a gross underselling of what their job actually is. But since people don't exactly have the best, will towards actors and actresses these days,
nor should they,
it's a lot easier for people to discount the work.
Yeah, and I also want to push back on the idea that no one's going to remember them in 2 years. Certainly that could be true for some of the people on this list. But for others on this list, I heard of them more than 2 years ago. And they've only become more and more successful and more famous since I first became familiar with them. Yeah. So clearly they stood the test of time. If they started their media career back then, maybe even like during the COVID era on TikTok, and now they're going to red carpet events and they're mingling with the mainstream celebrities.
Well, this is like when I was talking about when they send the dance TikTokers to movie premieres to do like phone filmed dances on the red carpet for some Mission Impossible movie.
It's cringy, but
it's cross-branding. It works.
The Hollywood Reporter's inaugural Content Creators Power List. They say it's our duty as legacy media to honor and succumb to the power of new media.
Okay, I don't know about that last part there, but okay.
And in the case of the 50-ish influencers featured here, new fame. This list is an encapsulation of the ways that comedians, writers, producers, makeup artists, interviewers, and fashion moguls, chosen using factors as numbers of followers, talent, and relevance to Hollywood, business growth, brand deals, have been captivating our attention and the promise they hold in the industry. To us, the power of a creator isn't just reflected in follower count, but in talent, magnetism, diversity, in thought, and controversy. Dear Hollywood, these are the TikTokers, Instagrammers, and YouTubers worth knowing and courting, digital natives starting the trends the rest of us will eventually chase. So how many of these have you heard of before? You were talking about this on the Salty Nerd podcast, correct, and you said no one had heard of them. Like any of them.
Not a lot of them. Sorry, I'm fixing a crisis meter on this one here today. Hold on.
I think the only reason why you would be familiar with any of these names already is solely because of the fact that you have to work with me.
Correct.
And I know who these people are. And I make it my business to, but they have Alex Earl, who I
have heard of.
We have talked about her on the show before. She started out on TikTok only last year. Yeah. While she was a college student, making these really obnoxious get ready with me TikToks where she talks about dating and shopping and story times and that type of jazz. And like, as low effort as that content looks, I do want to emphasize that some of the people on this list, maybe not all, there were situations where they ended up in the right place at the right time. Kismet, like something just catches fire randomly. But also, these are very enterprising individuals.
They have to be.
For the most part, they're not just making videos. They create production companies, product lines. They write books. Like, they get book deals. They chase after brand deals. They create viral moments rather than just being talent. They think about the business side of things.
We talked recently about how the next generation, the skill they have the most is how to brand themselves more than any previous generation has ever done. Because now when you go online, you're no longer just you. You're the ability for you to grow beyond just your name and be a brand is something that's new to the last 20 years in a lot of ways with the invention of social media. So all of these people have to understand how to meet the right people in the right sphere, who are the right people for them to interface with and do brand deals with, who are the right people to avoid, and things like that.
That's not even to mention like the bobbing and weaving to avoid getting canceled over just the most random comment that you made a decade ago in Alex Earl's case.
I do feel like the problem with this is that they're trying to fit it into the box of Hollywood when realistically they shouldn't be seen as the same sphere at all. If anything, it should be seen as Hollywood adjacent, meaning that the celebrities who end up in movies and television can best utilize these types of performers by doing some type of collaboration with them. If anybody saw yesterday, John Cena showed up on Kai Cenat's stream and got phantom taxed. Perfect example. And Kai Cenat is on this list.
Wouldn't be the first time that Kai Cenat has had a mainstream celebrity on his stream as well.
They understand the importance of interfacing with this world where these people command massive followings of people that can then draw eyes to their products, which are a lot more narrow in focus.
But that's the crux of the issue here. Yes, there is a symbiotic relationship between new media and legacy media, or at least the potential for a symbiotic relationship there. But the legacy media household name type of celebrities are still very uncomfortable with that. And they feel that they're above the influencer proles and it actually cheapens their image. So that's the fundamental difference between those household name celebrities and the influencers. The influencers are actually okay with becoming a meme and making an absolute fool of themselves for the bit. And they're not afraid to appear like sellouts for brands to their own audiences. In fact, they lean into it. I noticed a very distinct change when I was watching YouTubers in the mid 2010s to the late 2010s, when brand deals were becoming a far more common thing after the adpocalypse on YouTube. And they had to be very open and transparent about the fact that their revenue was suffering. So they had to promote Raycon, or they had to promote whatever it may be.
Raid Shadow Legends. I'm so sorry.
Raid Shadow Legends, whatever it may be. Then they made a joke out of it. And it's funny because there used to be this very frowned upon thing of becoming a sellout, like in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And then suddenly everyone like celebrated it. And it's because of influencers like this.
Did we get this 20? I'm not sure if I'm really sorry if I missed it when you said this one, but
I didn't see this. Joshua Throckmorton?
It's an amazing name.
Is that real? First time watching PCC live. Woot.
Woo, thank you.
Hi, thank you for being here, and I'm sorry that I missed your $20 super chat.
Have not heard woot in a while. Woot woot.
Woot woot.
Okay, so
I'm sorry, I was just going off there.
The problem is, and the funny thing is they are ignoring them at their own peril, right? The celebrity lifespan isn't that long if they just let themselves fall by the wayside, right? If they let their ego get the best of them, the best thing that they can do is to embrace it, work with these people. You know what? You might not like Mr. Beast, but maybe you should do a video with him to reach his gazillion followers.
Yeah. It's weird. Mr. Beast doesn't really do collabs with celebrities.
He does it with other YouTubers. Remember I was telling you about like the random soccer content I was just randomly scrolling through on YouTube Shorts. He showed up in this girl's like YouTube Shorts about soccer.
Yeah.
And she's from so he's just randomly in Europe or wherever they're making these videos, and he just appears and then disappears because he likely has some employee whose job it is to keep track of who has however many millions of followers and who would be the best for him to interface with.
Right.
Again, these people are better in a lot of ways, are more apt businessmen and women than the average celebrity who relies on their agent and all of these other people to tell them what to do. Now, a lot of these people have agents, they have talent agencies, but they still have to have a finger on the pulse of the culture to understand how to move their business forward. Their business being them and their image.
Right. I'm sure there's no shortage of interest for mainstream celebrities to collab with Mr. Beast in particular. But maybe it's one-sided. Maybe Mr. Beast, on the other hand, feels like he doesn't want to get into those types of...
But he's got like his thing. He's got his deal with Amazon now, and he's on Roku TV. And
some of these people, and I have to give them credit, like Amelia de Moldenberg, you probably haven't heard of her, but she runs the show Chicken Shop Date. And this is in one of those interview shows, basically like Hot Ones, but run, you know, basically from the UK. It's like Hot Ones from the UK. And she interviews A-list celebrities. Like it's just one after the other. She has interviewed Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Billie Eilish, all sorts of people. And she started this out when she was 19 and now she's 30.
Exactly.
Like like you can say, oh, no one's going to remember you in 2 years. That's actually just not true.
Same thing is true for Hot Ones, which is on this list here.
Yes.
Which is, there have been endless viral video clips that have gone like wildfire on the internet of people having memorable clips from Hot Ones.
Yeah, or Brittany Broski is another one they mentioned, a TikToker. She went viral because there were a couple screenshots of her gagging when she sipped kombucha for the first time.
What if it was Boba? Then she'd be racist.
Like, if you can take advantage of a moment like that and turn it into a 5-year so far career, that's impressive. I don't know how else to say it. Yeah, influencers are annoying, sure, but
they're getting the bag.
They're getting that bag, queen.
Look, you can't simultaneously say that Hollywood is dying and nobody cares about movies and TV anymore and there are no movie stars and then pretend like there isn't something filling the gap there. The issue of idolatry doesn't go away, and there's celebrity worship on all levels of society. But right now, the next generation isn't growing up watching these movies and television. We talked about, does anybody remember when Free Guy came out? There were streamers and influencers that ended up in that movie because they understood. Was it Markiplier that ended up in that movie?
Really?
I don't remember who it was. But the point is that they understand.
We have a 20. Sorry, from Alejandro Reyes. Hi, I forgot this last week. Mary, you said you don't watch YouTube Shorts. You just have to go into the pet section and you will be saved with nonstop cute animals. But I'm very particular about my cute animal videos. Like, it just needs to be a certain genre. I don't know how to explain it. I also have a ton of AI generated videos of cats on my Instagram explore page, like kneading bread. It's really weird.
It's
sorry. So get on to your point.
The point is that these mediums are changing faster than ever now as technology advances. It's really funny because we were just talking the other day about how YouTube is no longer doing shorts. They got 3-minute shorts now. It's not even short anymore. And a TikTok video can be like 30 minutes now. Like, these platforms are going to continue to grow. In a lot of ways, I would say that this is a more organic way of finding actual people that resonate with other people. You may not like them. You may not like the type of people they resonate with, but they're reaching an audience in a way that requires them to do it on their own rather than just getting dumped into the system at one of these major studios and they decide these are the guys we're going with right now. These are the next list of celebrities. I would guarantee you right now that whatever other trade makes an issue like this, whether it's Deadline, AV Club, Cinema Blend, and they make their list of what is going to be Jacob Elordi.
Yeah, we did talk about a
Paul
Hollywood
Mescal.
reporter.
I don't care.
The Hollywood Reporter did a listicle of like the new Hollywood A-listers.
Exactly.
And it's just like, who?
The point is,
what were they in?
All of these people resonate with someone. What it actually points out to you is how big the world actually is. And just how, like, you don't need 10 million people to make a living online. Like, a lot of these people get a great size following and they are good for a very long time. They're going to be they're going to have brands that are going to want to work with them for a very, very long time. And they're not going to have anything to worry about. It's just that the internet now is one big advertisement. everywhere.
Yeah, it is
It's
really
all
exhausting
one big
at this
advertisement.
point.
So.
It is kind of exhausting that happened to the internet, but there's no going back on it now.
Well,
I did want to ask, I know we've done a poll on this before, but we asked you guys, like, who is the more annoying class, the influencers or the celebrities? Because you can still see a distinction between the two. And I forget who won.
I don't remember.
I think it might have been the influencers.
See, I think depending on who you're asking, what will happen is when the celebrities say it. Did you see the thing recently? Who was the celebrity that complained? Jessica Chastain complained about not getting enough of a refund from JetBlue.
Oh yeah.
To which I was like, Jessica Chastain flies JetBlue. But then I'm also like, but people are mad at her because she wants a refund.
She's like calling Ballerina Farm and be like, put your husband on the phone right now.
But the point being that they're mad because they assume that they know that they have money, so that there's a certain level of envy there to begin with. Most of these influencers aren't suffering for money either, but they don't come with the same, it's a different type of disdain for the influencer. So it's not even who's worse. It's just, what's your reason for hating this particular type of influencer or celebrity? Because it's different for all of them.
Right, yeah. Okay, we gotta read some super chats. Greg Duvier said Dragon's Den came out before Shark Tank. Thank you for letting us know.
I did not know that.
I'm not Canadian, so I don't know these things. The Manic Mustache said, you are not a millennial if you have driven with someone's parents smoking in a car. Take that, you incels. Bring back Gen Y.
I'm so confused right now.
You're not a millennial if you have driven with someone's parent smoking in a car. So if your friend's parent was driving you guys somewhere and was smoking in the car, that means that you're...
Well, now they would just have a vape pen.
High Villager 75 said no plug for PCC on Knowles, Mary. Shame. It's just not the way that he does his show. Yeah. If there were an outro like that, then I would have done that. Shane H. Wilder said, Corey, remember, Mary only thinks of fashion and death. Knowles is always sharply dressed, and Mary can't let him outdo her in fashion or death.
Good point.
He won't. Greg Duvier said, watching Michael Knowles and Mary dunk on feminists this weekend was a fun part of my weekend. I'm glad. Glad it was fun for you.
There you go. Do two more.
Jamesy Boy said there should be an anti-woke A-listers and based awards to compete Oscars, etc. like Best Culture Podcast Cast, PCC.
Well, that's us, obviously. So you
an
don't even
anti-woke based awards.
I don't want to. Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I don't want to be known.
No, go off.
As the anti-woke anything. I don't like that word in general. I think it's overused. I think it's used as some type of shorthand to describe things that may or may not be accurate. But since everyone's definition for that word, or I guess like threshold for what counts as woke, is different, it just ends up being confusing most of the time. And I guess maybe it's just a side effect of our job. But if all you do is say the Joker sucked because it was woke, then you know, like, the video's over. Like, you need to be more detailed than that. You can't just use that as your crutch. So the word gets used. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I definitely don't want to be known as the
anti-woke guy.
Please no.
You're the anti-woke guy. Yeah, it's very reductive. Mario Gretzky said, Canadian here, Dragon's Den was the original, Shark Tank is the copy, and the British version of Dragon's Den came before the Canadian one. Okay, so all you're proving to me right now is something actually quite poetic. Cultural appropriation works.
When America does it.
When America does it. When we adopt something from another culture, we always make it better.
The UK makes The Office. We do The Office.
We do it bigger and better.
UK and Canada make Shark Tank. We do Shark Tank.
Yeah.
All right, let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after the fact. Time to talk about Sabrina Carpenter.
Yes. So Halloween is coming up, and a lot of young women are thinking about what costumes they'll be wearing. And if you've watched Mean Girls, you know that Halloween is the one night a year where a girl can dress like a total slut and no one can say a word about it.
Technically, these days... Oh, I put Cher on camera.
Oh, hi, Cher.
Oh, hi, Cher. Technically, these days, you're not supposed to slut shame anyways. So they should be allowed to do it no matter what.
Yeah, that's completely taboo now. So you basically can just go out wearing your underwear, and that's considered a Halloween costume now. Sabrina Carpenter is ranked number 9 on Google's official list for most sought-after Halloween costumes this year in 2024, the most popular celebrity costume for Halloween this year in general, which is kind of surprising because literally all she wears on stage is bedazzled lingerie. That's it. Like, there's nothing all that distinctive about it.
The modern Western woman's desire to hoe is unquenchable.
It's
a thirst
just underwear with rhinestones on it. There's, like, I don't even know if you could walk into a party and people would be like, oh, you're dressed as Sabrina Carpenter. They would just be like, oh, okay, she's in her underwear.
If it was like the very specific example, I guess with the towel, maybe.
Maybe.
Well, it's expensive.
It's just, yeah, it probably is. And now there's like this whole cottage industry on like Etsy and all these other sites for handmade replicas of all of these lingerie outfits that Sabrina is wearing on the Short and Sweet tour. So clearly it is popular. I just don't understand what could compel you to go out wearing literal underwear in front of strangers.
I saw people arguing on the internet this weekend about whether her shows are even okay for kids to go to, because she does her shows are not 18 plus from what I can see, and that there's kids there, and that she doesn't exactly act in a PG fashion, which I guess is on the
or sing about PG topics.
On the parents for not paying closer attention to what their kids are going to, right?
This came up because she was talking about judgmental moms who feel like her tour outfits are inappropriate. And she's like, well, if you think they're inappropriate, you shouldn't be there. And I'm like, yeah, you should not be giving this woman your money.
Yeah. Wait, how is, I'm sorry, this is such an aside, but how is Dune number 18, and what does that mean? Does that mean like you're the sandworm? Does that mean you have to go dressed up as Timothée Chalamet?
But what you're looking at right now is the full list of Google's most popular Halloween costumes for 2024. And the first one is Shrunken Head Bob.
Oh, the Beetlejuice commands this list. Beetlejuice characters are all over the list. But back to your point about Sabrina Carpenter, I mean, it really is. Maybe it's just because it's low effort. They're like,
it's so low effort. It's literally just, you could go to Victoria's Secret and just be like, oh yeah, I'm in my Sabrina Carpenter costume. Like, there's nothing distinctive about it. It's just underwear.
I guess, is it supposed to be like doing the hair like she does it with like the big blonde the curls?
Even then, it's like, come on now. We're better than this.
I noticed that Taylor Swift isn't on this list.
Yes, and I would have expected her to be, because last year I bet she was.
No, because then you have to have bad dance moves. Nobody wants to admit to having bad dance moves.
And I mentioned this too. Taylor Swift wears stuff that's almost identical to what Sabrina Carpenter wears on stage.
It's the garter
with very little difference.
It's the garter belt and it's the stockings that do all the heavy lifting and distinguishing the two. Otherwise, it just looks like a bodysuit.
Yeah, but it's like kind of technically the same thing. You know,
I think it's as little as the difference as there is. It's a big difference. I think, in the way it's seen.
It's weird how so little can make such a huge difference in how it's perceived.
Yeah.
But I think I was saying this last week, like off air. Taylor Swift has bigger tits than Sabrina Carpenter, but spiritually, Sabrina Carpenter has bigger tits than Taylor Swift.
So that's how she wears her outfits, I guess, then.
In like an intangible sense.
One draws more attention to them than the other, say.
But you're right about her fan base, because this girl, Sabrina Carpenter, would lose a significant amount of money if she made her concerts 18 plus, which is why she's not going to do it. And it's because Sabrina Carpenter was not for my generation. Like my generation of Gen Z, at least, we didn't watch her on Disney Channel. Like, this is essentially for teenagers.
Yeah.
Because she was on Girl Meets World on Disney Channel until 2017.
Yeah.
That's pretty late in the game.
Yeah.
Far past when I feel most Gen Zers stopped watching kids content. So actual children are a huge portion of her target audience, where she is singing about some really vulgar stuff that I don't even want to repeat. Look at her nonsense outros if you're curious. It's not appropriate for these girls.
Do you think
it's not? And then if the moms are mad about it, they should use their money to show that.
Do you think that Sabrina Carpenter's success is manufactured?
I think that Kellen was correct in saying that there was a bit of a vacuum left after Taylor Swift put out her most recent album, and they realized it was kind of flopping, and they needed to introduce a new flock of contenders to become the next one. So we've got Sabrina Carpenter, obviously, Chappell Roan, Olivia Rodrigo, Tate McRae. I don't know. Are there any others I'm missing?
Sounds about right.
Those are the main ones. Yeah. Maybe Madison Beer, sorta, kinda.
Yeah. I mean, all of them are kind of propped up in some way, shape, or form, just because the nature of the industry means that only so much space is given to these especially at the events, like whether it's Lollapalooza or any of this stuff, and the labels that they represent play a huge role in getting their names out there and stuff like that. So yeah, it is manufactured.
Well, what's weird to me in the case of Chappell Roan and Sabrina Carpenter is the fact that these two girls in their mid-20s have been doing this for like a decade now. Like they've been in the music industry for a decade now, but all of a sudden everyone's heard of you in like a month, the span of a month. And it's like, that seems to have gotten some kind of artificial boost.
My my more not naive side, but the side of me that wants to believe in like keep pushing until you find your success is I love that story.
Like an inspiring success.
Well, no, okay, I'll give you a better example. So right now, one of the things that I saw a thread about yesterday was like, look at the success that Catherine Hahn has had 20 years on in acting. She's hit her stride and reached a higher level of fame in her 40s, or going, I don't know, I think she's in her late 40s or something, than she did when she was in her 20s, which is when they tell you that all the actresses, you're on a timetable, you can only be successful up until this age, and then you better start thinking about a second career. She didn't really hit that stride until later, and I can appreciate that. I like the idea
Renaissance
of even Matthew McConaughey had his own second.
Who else did? I know.
The McConaissance was real post True Detective season 1.
The
Han is 51. See? Perfect.
There was another person who was having a renaissance. Like not even that.
I also love that Catherine O'Hara's had like more continued success since the 80s.
Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah, Jennifer Coolidge is a great example. Like all of these actresses who you keep pushing, and you find success. Catherine O'Hara's a great example because she was kind of always successful. But Jennifer Coolidge definitely found more success later in her career than just American Pie when she was in her earlier days. But Catherine Hahn is a great example of that.
To reel it back to our original conversation, can you just give me your take as a man on Halloween costumes for women? Has it gone too far?
No, I don't think so.
Has it gone far enough?
I think in general, I think it should go farther in all counts. I think everyone should feel free to do whatever they want, because I get annoyed at somebody telling you what you can and cannot wear for your stupid Halloween costume. It's one day, it's inconsequential. I don't care.
Well, it's not about can or cannot, but it's should or should right?
not. Yes. Well, I mean, spiritually, it's can or cannot, because they want to be able to judge you based on.
But do you judge?
No.
It's funny. Every time that this conversation comes up, like, I know I was asking you, we were having a conversation about like women wearing leggings as pants, or like these other trends that most guys, when it comes up, they're like, that's crazy that women wear that. Like, it's just becoming so sexualized. They like, women have got to stop dressing like this. It's getting insane. But when I brought it up to you, you were like, no, it doesn't really, I don't know.
It doesn't
really stand out to me.
Doesn't really stand out to me.
Doesn't really bother you.
No, not looking. Doesn't. To say that you wouldn't like maybe again, I'd have to see, like, you have to put some examples in front of me and being like, what is the first thing you think of when you see this? Like, it might make me look at you a certain way and have some preconceived notions, but isn't the whole point of that to be that I'm not going to know that person anyways, and it's your job as a human being? If you want to dress a certain way that forces you to then have to dispel preconceived notions, that's actually handicapping yourself. right? To create an image around you physically that you then have to worry about dispelling later. You're handicapping your own appearance. It's like when you're talking about people going to job interviews and not wanting to dress up properly for job interviews. You might have been gone when we were like, people
are mad about dressing up for job interviews now.
Yeah.
Why?
Like, just don't want to have
They think it's unfair. I mean, like I should just be able to roll out of bed in my sweatpants and socks, wear socks with slides.
These are the same people who are bringing their parents to job interviews, probably. So.
Oh my gosh, we're just so doomed on so many different levels.
Also, again, like I was saying, I'd have to see examples of like what you're talking about, but you know, leggings, whatever, that's like 90% of the world these days. I'll judge you more if you're like super out of shape and wearing them. Absolutely.
To me, most of it is that as well. Okay. But most of it is just like the feeling that you didn't put in the effort, you know? It's not really about, for me, it's like, it's not the modesty thing. There, like, sure, there's an element to that. But try harder.
I've gone to more malls in the last year than I had in like the past 10 years. And I can't think of any examples outside of maybe just a couple of people where I looked at them and thought, what are you doing wearing that in public?
I've definitely had some moments like that. Like,
and I think the one I saw, and I think the one that I saw was more along the lines of the same thing that you pointed out, which is where she was wearing the skin tight leggings, but they were like the same color as her.
Bizarre choice.
That was
psychotic almost,
especially given like where like walking in a mall, it's even more distinguishable because you're like against a sea of people who are dressed in a way that stands out. So it just looks even more
under fluorescent lights. Like, why are you naked?
And you're like, why would you do that?
Genuinely, why? Unless you're just a psychopath who wants to scare people into thinking that you're naked in public.
I do love the videos that, or like when a Joey Swole will make the videos about like the women who dress a certain way at the gym and then get annoyed when men look at them as if the men...
How dare you look at my voluptuous curves? You pervert.
I think the bigger thing that should be called into question here is how fashion... I think about this a lot, which is like we've kind of, and I perfectly fall as a victim to this, given that I wear sweatpants pretty much every day. We've like
but no one sees that. So
we've abandoned like everyone just goes out in the most comfortable thing all the time, including me. Like there are days where I'm like, I should wear jeans. I just don't. And people do that every day. There's something to be said that when the apocalypse happens and you can't actually carry a firearm because your sweatpants won't carry your holster, you know?
It's the apocalypse and you're like, oh, my jeans are so uncomfortable.
Exactly. The actual apocalypse will be way funnier. The actual zombie apocalypse will be way funnier because it will be a bunch of men being like, man, I can't, my extra mags won't fit in my sweatpants. It keeps pulling them down. Like there's a great comedy skit to be made there.
This is why you need some Levi Wokes.
Oh, I wish we could watch that live on air. They do make sweatpants that are designed to be worn with conceal and carry now, though. But I love that. Like, think about that. Like, some company had to be like, well,
people they're
not wearing any freaking jeans. We're gonna have to develop sweatpants that people can wear and carry.
That's the world we live in now. Okay, we got to finish up these super chats. Mario Gretzky said, I already read that one, I think. Brian Bledsoe, Deadpool 3 is still in theaters. Twisters just left theaters entirely this past Thursday.
I just saw that. Twisters just finished its theatrical run, even though it was on streaming or, pay VOD months ago.
The fact that Deadpool 3 still hasn't left theaters is like wild to me.
Well, I mean,
how long's it been?
I mean, here's the thing, though.
3 months?
Back in the day, that's actually not that bad. Back in the day, what would happen is they'd be at the regular theaters, but then they'd go to the dollar theaters. You know, the cheap theaters that you could see the movie way later.
Okay.
So
Shane H. Wilder said, anyone realize The Apprentice came out last week? Yes, and I did want to review that. We might do that this week. I just missed it because it weirdly wasn't getting a lot of showings locally. So I don't know if you guys express some interest in having a review for that on the channel, we'll do it. But if you don't care,
I was reading people where they're like, why did this movie fail? They're like, well, people that hate Trump don't want to see more of him than they have to. And people that like Trump aren't going to watch a movie where you're assassinating his character.
Very true.
Who is this movie for? Like, it's uniquely made for channels like ours who would be able to create content out of it. And I'm not going to lie, I don't even want to frickin' see it. I don't have
But it might be hidden Kino.
I did laugh at, like, they asked Sebastian Stan, they're like, what was your secret to getting in shape? In Donald Trump shape, basically?
Well done steak with ketchup?
No. Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
That's what he said. That was his answer. Drink a lot of Coca-Cola.
Perfect. Surenko Production said, skinny legend Lizzo, let's go. She's looking great. She is already looking noticeably smaller. Yeah. Thank you. Kramer M said Epstein didn't boba tea himself. I don't know what that means, but okay. Pop Culture Junkie said recent example of a sequel disaster, Wonder Woman 2, budget of $200 million, box office $170 million.
Yep. I mean, Wonder Woman 2 also came out at a very unfortunate time and had the unfortunate choice of giving Patty Jenkins full creative control, not unlike a Todd Phillips. Not a good idea. Reel in your creators. You have to reel in your creators just a little bit. We were having this discussion. You have to find a middle ground between full creative control and completely stifling your directors, right? So we talk a lot about how directors these days are basically just cast. Like, they cast these directors that no one's ever heard of, because if you want to get a Sam Raimi or you want to get a Denis Villeneuve, he's going to want more creative control over his work than some director who's made something that no one's ever seen before. So as these movies get bigger budgets and they become more corporate slop than they already were, you're going to need corporate slop shovels. And the shoveler will have to be the director. There's got to be a middle ground.
I love that metaphor. Yep. Shane H. Wilder said just vegetables or just meat? Why not both? This is what I'm saying, but you're not allowed to have a reasonable take like that. Daniel J. Corriga, thanks to everyone for the prayers for my cat, Bernie Sanders. Yes, that is his real name, Mary. He is almost back to normal and breathing normally. Hi, Bert.
Well, hello.
That's great to hear.
And that is fantastic news. I'm very, very happy for you and your cat.
Best of wishes to Bernie Sanders. The Manic Mustache said, wait, Lizzo is the reason my beef prices went up. Stop converting vegans. Stay toxic, my friends. That's a pretty good reason to keep vegans vegan. I just thought it was like outdated. Like something else came along and became the fashionable thing.
Keto.
Raw milk. Keto and raw milk, basically. Yeah. The Manic Mustache said everyone is on steroids. Even my dad is on steroids, but he's a 75-year-old and likes to deadlift and hunt caribou on foot with a bow that brother Billy made him for his 65th birthday. Stay toxic, my friends.
Let's go.
Your dad sounds really cool.
Yeah, after a certain age, you're just like, look, why would I not take the drugs?
Yeah, I mean... Got nothing to lose.
I'm closer to the end than I am to the beginning. What the hell?
200 Watt Studio said there's more in the back. What Lizzo told me on our date last night. Oh, come on.
If I was president, I would just make a strong cutoff. Like, after you hit a certain age, all drugs are legal. Legalize them all.
You can speed as much as you want to.
No, because you're putting other people in danger there. So, once you get past retirement age, bing, everything's legal. You
can be a drug dealer too.
No. We can't do that. We'd have to find a way to do this, and then, but then the government would get a bunch of money from it, and I hate the idea of the government getting anything. So
I saw a bumper sticker this morning that said, "New driver, good luck, y'all."
Okay, so I was on the way back from I've always had pretty good luck with, I've had a couple of incidences where you're on the freeway and somebody with like a student driver thing on the back nearly kills you.
I haven't been in that situation.
Changing into your lane or something like that. But I was coming back from Freedomistan one day, and you're on that road that like going back into town, and it's just one road and there isn't another way. And I just got caught behind this person with like the new driver or like student driver, and they were going about 15 under the speed limit. And look, whatever, I'm not in a hurry, though it's annoying, but the amount of people behind me who are then just like pissed.
Yeah, and they're acting like it's your fault.
Yeah, wasn't my fault.
Tailgating you. Professor Freakoff said, me with Gundam models. I don't know what that means.
In relation to
what that's referring to, sorry. Shane H. Wilder said, it's just an effing cup. In a few years, it will end up in the back of the cabinet with your Yeti and grandma's radiation-filled Fiesta wear plate.
Okay, I'm gonna actually push back on that a little bit. You could make the argument that if they're using their stupid cup every day, they're getting more actual use out of it.
I know I do.
I
know I use my stupid cup every day.
Than the average thing that people, fawn over.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Gets a lot of use.
Sure. Fair enough. But just you don't need to wait outside of a Target before the sun rises for that.
Whatever makes you happy, people. Late stage capitalism. Just consume the products to distract from your miserable lives.
Serengo Productions said Simu Liu, more like STFU.
Oh, got him.
You got him.
I hope that
you sure showed him.
I hope there's a Marvel group chat that he's not in that they call him that in.
Brian Bledsoe said Simu Liu just hating on Taiwan. Is it because he's Chinese?
Probably.
I don't know. Pete Donovan said that was more embarrassing than that time Moss went from the IT crowd. Moss from the IT crowd went on Dragon's Den to showcase the abracadabra. I'm
assuming it's a bra of some kind.
Bra.
Amazing. Whoever named it is at least smart.
I'm just gonna find that later on, because that sounds funny.
Chat, I want to know, what other shows did you people in other countries create that we did better? I'm sure there's a whole laundry list of them.
Probably all of them.
Yeah.
Actually, with the exception of Skins.
And The Killing was, from what I understand, again, I haven't seen the Danish version, but apparently the Danish version is better. Also, Grace Point, which was an American version of a David Tennant's show, is not as good as the original.
Shane H. Wilder said, I'm so sad how successful this company is. Well, why didn't you do it first? He'd rather an innovation not exist than have a white person create it.
Exactly. Envy and
Perfectly
hatred.
said.
That's what it is.
Cubano 1986 said, dumbing down language has gone too far. Bill Ashton is trying to eliminate silent letters like in Psychic Psalm.
So the P would be, get rid of the P in Psychic, or the P in Psalm?
Wait, what? I'm confused.
I don't even know who that is.
I don't know either. DCNC said Canadians apologizing is a national pastime.
That's true.
They couldn't help themselves. They're too nice. It's got to stop.
Also, from what I understand, Being Human is better. The British version is far better than the American version.
Glitch said Yorkshire tea is far superior to boba tea.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I'm definitely going to get some boba tea after this. Like, Simu Liu, thank you for reminding me that it exists.
If only you could find that company that he didn't invest in.
Yeah, maybe I will.
No,
maybe
don't do
I
that.
will.
Don't
no,
do
because
that
they apologized,
yeah.
so I can't reward them for their. Yeah, I can't do it now. High Villager 75 said, like genital herpes, woke will never fully go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always just festering. Shane H. Wilder said, I'm going to a white-owned boba spot out of spite. I didn't know those existed, but that's cool.
I know that this goes counter to what a lot of people say. Like, if you do something like that out of spite, you're letting them control you in a way. Like, you're putting more thought into it than you normally would, which is a soft victory for them, which means it's festering in your brain and you're letting it sit for longer than it should.
Let me percolate.
Dismiss it, ignore it, and move on with your life.
What other example do we have, though?
Of what? Of
like doing something like that out of spite.
I mean, people kind of do that all the time with stuff, right?
Like, I know this has come up on the show before, but I don't remember in what context.
Yeah. I'd have to think on that one, but this
like
happens.
pretending to like something that you don't actually like just because it's anti-woke.
Don't do that. Don't give something like that any more time than it needs.
I will never forget, like, us talking about the New Norm show.
Yeah.
That one time, and like we got not an insignificant amount of people in the comments saying, how dare you like say anything bad about this? They're doing it for a good cause. What? I'm sorry, I thought we were the side that was for entertainment and comedy and not a cause.
Also, as I keep saying recently, I'm sick of stuff being made for a cause.
Regardless of the cause, really.
Like, literally, the guilt that Americans feel every day is why every ad you see is advertising some cause of some sort. Do this for climate change. Do this for social justice. Do this for this, and this. This is why everything has to advertise some stupid month that they're supporting, right?
We're going to need to kind of rush through these because we got to get out of here by 5 today. Sorenko Productions said, bruh, boba tea is unhealthy AF though. LMAO, so much sugar but so good. Also, MSG is good and is not unhealthy to use and is like salt. MSG equals make shit good.
So it's like some type of conspiracy like they did with like sugar did back in the day with fat.
I'm sure MSG is not as bad as they say. Yoshimo Otaru said he's CCP Chinese, boba is Taiwanese, not his culture. Yeah, he's appropriating. Pete Donovan said, Brett, want another smart guy? Put a surge on.
Yeah, that would be good.
I've received word that might happen sometime next week.
We will talk about it.
We're working on that right now.
Yep.
Brian Bledsoe said, apparently YouTube won't let me ask Brett the same question Knowles asked Mary about negging. Would you please, Mary?
No.
No, I honestly am surprised that they kept that in the video, and I'm not going to be taking the same risk.
Yeah.
So thanks for trying. Saltonio Banderas said, can't understand normal thinking is a better acro.
Meh?
It's creative. Red Snow said, sorry I'm late, was busy praising Space King.
Praise be to Space King.
Also, what's your magic colors? I'm usually blue, black.
I don't know what that means.
Magic? Oh, we don't play Magic.
Yeah. Plus, I wear black every day.
Omega Red fan said, those envious companies merging with networks for their own interests. Business as usual. I hate it.
Business is business.
What companies?
I don't know.
Shane H. Wilder said, Brett and Mary are my A-listers.
That's
Tim
us.
might be B-list.
Perfect.
Of course. Pete Donovan said, I had the show playing in the car whilst car maxing and fuel maxing like a pavement prince last week. Brett, you were missed, but Aiden was cool.
Well, Pete, it sounds like you've been watching your Cities by Diana, which I appreciate.
Pavement prince. And he also asked, which do you like better, Pumpkin Spice Pride Month or Hawktober? P.S. Happy Columbus Day, y'all.
Hawktober.
It doesn't even work.
Both.
Okay, for me, this is Pumpkin Spice Pride Month. I'm going with that. Red Snow said, what kind of person watches a frostback and a ghost?
You do.
Okay, well, Brett's not a frostback, so let's just make that clear.
Frostback adjacent.
Yeah. Pop Culture Junkie said, pass on this super chat to the chair. Thank you.
Hold on.
Will do.
Chair says thank you.
Chair says thank you as well. Alejandro Reyes said, none of these women are attractive enough to stand out in a crowd of relatively fit people. Don't get the beauty hype by men and women. Which women?
I think that was in reference to Sabrina Carpenter and Taylor Swift.
Well, I don't know. They have a lot of success, but it's true. They have mostly female audiences. Professor Freakoff said, I'm so sick of women dressing like 304s. Mm-hmm. It's not even titillating anymore. At this point, Tony Soprano's therapist is preferable.
The key to this, guys, is to just,
turn your brain off.
Let it wash over you and just don't engage. Just ignore it. It doesn't matter, Grant me the strength to change the things I can, accept the things that I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference.
A lot of the time, though, the problem is that the people dressing like 304s are the least attractive ones.
That's more of a problem.
I don't understand it. Never will. Corey Anderson said, PCC call-ins. I left on behalf of my church. Please listen if you have the chance.
We will be addressing, I think, doing call-ins this Thursday.
Yes. Brian Bledsoe said, wait, Taylor is bigger than Sabrina. Sabrina really is a witch. What do you mean she's a witch? What'd she do?
Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It's a character.
Okay, I didn't watch it. Shane H. Wilder said, if costumes go much further, they'll be nudists. I mean, they pretty much, we're getting there.
Arguably, what Sabrina Carpenter is wearing there, however scandalous you might find it, a lot of her body is still covered. She's not even showing midriff. Like, there's a whole lot there.
It's the spirit in which she does it, right? Mm-hmm. With the towel, right? The big reveal. And it's like, we're all pretending like you're Marilyn Monroe right now. Mm-hmm. Corey Anderson said, leggings are not pants. Mostly they are see-through. Yeah, most of the problem with it is it also just doesn't look good. just doesn't look good. Nate said, whoa, Brett, I hate this take. Preconceived notions aren't bad. You chose to present yourself in a way, not my issue if you're judged accordingly. I think that's what you said, though.
That's literally what I said. I said that when you comport yourself in a specific way and you dress the way that you do, if your goal is to be seen in a different way, you're arguably working against your own self-interest. None of that is my responsibility.
Yeah, so I think you guys are on the same page.
That's all I'm saying.
Robert Redmond said, you ladies should do a nightlife watch stream so we can hear Bunny's thoughts on ladies' outfits. Appropriate or not, let your daughter wear out. Bunny?
I don't know what that's about, but people talk all the time in the chat about how neither of us are parents or married, so we can't have opinions on that stuff.
Is that the thing that they do in Manchester where they film the women in the on the street videos?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I've quite frankly seen enough of that for an entire lifetime.
Rick C is saying, nah, Brett, you said you don't judge. No, I said I don't really think about it beyond whatever it is because I'm not going to interact with them. That's brain space I don't need to be using up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. The Harsh Truth said, dress like you want, but there doesn't need to be a slutty version of every costume.
Nah, there probably is always going to be a slutty version of every costume. It's what it is for adults.
Yeah, the weird thing to me is just like, I even noticed this growing up. The older I got, the more slutty the costumes for children got. To be totally honest,
that's a problem.
It starts very like it genuinely it starts getting more and more like that at age like 10. It's very weird. Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, other than Skins, In-Betweeners, and Being Human, we did it better. Gladiator 2 and Wicked both come out November 22nd. Double feature, Brett and Mary.
Damn.
We are planning to see Wicked with Kino Corner, actually.
I kind of hate
when that comes out.
I guess I've made Mary go to a lot of movies that I would like to see, so I can bite the bullet on this one and go to Wicked. Even though
is it crazy of me to assume more people are going to care about Wicked than Gladiator 2?
In our space, more people are going to be talking about Gladiator 2, but it doesn't really matter.
I don't know, but then you thought like no one was going to care about It Ends With Us, and then boom, it's one of the biggest movies of the year. Shane H. Wilder said, going to a white-owned Boba spot out of spite was a joke, although my favorite Boba spot is white-owned. A vet came back and decided to open it. See, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But Simu has words for him. Pop Culture Junkie said, girl with the dragon tattoo, Swedish versions are better, and I'm a Fincher fan.
Interesting.
Ninja Emu said, love y'all.
Thank you.
Red Snow said, can I send yet another?
You just did.
You did.
And one more.
The Manic Mustache said, to all my ties, Merry Columbus Day, y'all. First day off in years, staying toxic.
All right.
We're glad that you're staying toxic.
All right. Before we
go, I'm actually so impressed with myself that I was able to finish the super chats.
Got it done very quickly. Before we go, guys, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And if you have not watched it already, I know I shouted out earlier, but you can go on Michael Knowles' channel and watch our TikTok reaction video. We watched a bunch of videos of feminists talking about their dads, their ex-boyfriends, and the president.
All right. Guys, if you'd like to follow me, Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on... I was going to say Amazon Music. I think we should say we are on Spotify and we are on Apple Podcasts, which are the #1 places to get the show. You should also like and rate the comment or rate the show on there, right? We should get people to actually leave ratings.
Rate us out of 5 stars on
5
Spotify.
every time.
5 every time, or I don't know, just be honest, I guess. And on Apple Podcasts, you can type out a review for us.
Perfect.
Speak your mind.
And then if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and not TikTok, because we were banned on TikTok, at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. I do want to let you guys know that tonight I will be live at 6:30 with the ladies from Force of Light over on their channel, which is why we have to wrap this show up right now, because I got to get home and get ready to do that. So go ahead and check out their YouTube channel. I will be posting a link up on my Twitter, so I will see you guys there tonight, and we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.